Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over this used Camaro ZL1. Now this is just the regular ZL1, it's not the 1LE package. But anyways, first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Chevy here in Murray for giving me some time with this ZL1. Check out the inventory link below. Let's get straight into the video. Now let's talk about this ZL1. So first off, just a regular ZL1, not the 1LE package. Notice you've got the cool carbon fiber there over the supercharger with the ZL1 logo. Definitely a nice touch, always love that. Full LED lights there with the projector bulbs, and then you've got that accent light off to the side. And then you've got another ZL1 logo there in the grille. And just notice how large the openings are. You need a ton of air to feed that supercharged 6.2 liter V8. Notice even the Chevy bow tie had to be hollowed out to help with airflow to feed that massive engine and supercharger as well, just to keep everything cooled off. And you guys notice they have to use a ton of heat exchangers actually to keep everything cool. Now, coming to the side here, 20-inch wheels, 285mm tires for the front. And notice you have the ZL1 logo there on the calipers, and just look how large those rotors are. Remember, that's a 20-inch wheel. And then coming here to the side, notice how they actually painted the side skirt, so everything kind of matches from a bodywork perspective. Now the rear tires, again, 20-inch wheels, but then 305mm for the tire width, so a little bit wider. And then if you guys are running on the 1LE package, you actually get 325mm tires. So you do get wider tires in the back if you go for a 1LE. Full side view, looks pretty good, actually. Now popping here to the rear, notice we've got the not crazy spoiler, because you guys know on the 1LE the spoiler is absolutely massive. This one a little bit more stealth. And then you've got those square tail lights, and then look at the parking sensors kind of integrated there. And then you've got the exhaust tips just down below, which are all blacked out, not because that was the original color, but that's what happens when you drive the car quite a bit. It's just lots of heat coming from that engine through the exhaust. Now, popping over here to the side, notice it does have the keyless entry that comes with it. You just press that button right there. And looking at the door panel, tons of Alcantara. And then notice that you've got stitching throughout that Alcantara that's actually red. So it's a nice contrast between the black and the red. And I believe this car's got like over, I think I show it later in the video, it's got like over 20,000 miles, and everything's held up pretty well. And then you do have the accent lighting in the interior, memory seats as well. I've got the Camaro logo right there. And then, just to show you guys the back seats, notice we've got that same situation with the Alcantara and the red stitching, red seat belts. This is pretty much the exact same spec as what I had on my ZL1, but obviously I had the 1LE. You can see the red seat belt right there. And then you guys can see the seats right here, perforated Alcantara. And obviously, I mean, there is a little bit of wear and tear on the seats, which is to be expected, but overall, they've held up very well. And then there is the pedal layout. This one is the automatic, so you just have the two pedals there at the bottom. And then popping up here, that you can notice the steering wheel is manually adjustable rather, and then there's paddle shifters for that 10-speed automatic. Popping in is actually pretty easy. The bolsters aren't massive. And then notice for the steering wheel, Alcantara wrapped around the whole steering wheel right there. Another ZL1 logo at the bottom of the steering wheel. And then you can see better look at those paddles. And then we've got the gauge cluster right here, which is pretty simple. And then you've got the center screen right there. And then down below, all of you like your analog climate controls, which the camera didn't want to focus because it was so dark in the car, funny enough. And then this has those cool vents. You guys know I'm a huge fan because you twist them to change the temperature. I just think that's a nice piece of engineering. And then here is the shifter for that 10-speed automatic transmission. And then you've got like your drive mode select and the stability control as well next to it. And then there is the parking brake right behind all of that. And then notice that even the cup holder is illuminated, which is pretty cool. Center console, pretty small, but you know, it's still usable. And then there's more Alcantara there on the dash. Man, the camera's like, you know what? I don't want to focus on anything. It's like spazzing out like crazy. But notice the ambient lighting again on the door panel right there. And then there's another look at the other seat with the passenger side. Then you guys can see the lighting there at the top, and then kind of closer look at the ambient lighting. And then notice that there's more Alcantara with stitching there on the side. And then obviously got to pop the hood so you guys can see that supercharged 6.2 liter V8. Always a fun time right there. Something to mention is the doors are actually not too heavy, but they are heavier because it is a two-door car. You guys can see a little bit closer look on the black paint, but there we go. 6.2 liter supercharged V8, 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. Goes through a 10-speed automatic. You can get it with a 6-speed manual as well, but it seems like more people are ordering out the automatics than the manuals, which I think the manual is the route to go, and we'll kind of talk about that more in today's video. But just look at everything that is going on. Just tons of complexity, and there's tons of heat exchangers with this powertrain just to keep everything cooled off so it doesn't overheat on the track. It's something that Chevy had to do. I think it's like close to like 20 heat exchangers. It's just crazy, the stuff that they had to do basically to make that work. But yeah, that's pretty much a walk around there on the regular ZL1. I don't think I've ever done a review on a regular ZL1. I think I've only reviewed the 1LE that I had. And I think that I might have done another short video on another 1LE. Now let's talk about the Zl1 package overall, kind of like my thoughts on the package, and then also which transmission you should go for, because I actually owned a Zl1 1LE for about like 4 or 5 months. It was a really fun car to own, and here's what I have to say first off on just the car itself. Looks absolutely amazing, especially in black. It just looks like a Batmobile, and I will say I definitely prefer the 1LE package to the regular Zl1 just from a looks perspective. From a driving perspective, however, the regular ZL1 drives significantly smoother, so if you're going to daily the car, I'd recommend doing a regular ZL1. If it's just going to be a fun weekend car, I'd go for the 1LE package. It looks a lot cooler, and obviously it handles so much better with all of the active aero and the wider tires, stickier tires as well, and just all the stuff they've added to the 1LE package, and also those canards on the front. They just look crazy. Now, from a transmission perspective, here's what I have to say is I recommend the manual transmission. Now, the 1LE that I had actually had the 10-speed automatic, and it's a fantastic transmission. Super quick, super snappy, just a really great transmission overall, but it kind of loses its excitement pretty quick. I mean, I had that car for like 4 or 5 months, and part of the reason why I got rid of the car is because I was just bored of it, frankly. And again, it's an amazing car, sounds amazing, crazy power delivery from the supercharged 6.2 liter V8, which very similar to what we have in the TRX, different engine, but you know, somewhat similar overall. But anyways, really fun experience overall. But again, that automatic transmission just kind of gets boring, even though it has that cool downshift function where you basically hold down the minus paddle and then it'll downshift to the lowest gear, which is pretty cool. It's just not the same as the manual. Like, I have had more fun driving a manual SS than I had driving my 1LE with the 10-speed automatic. I think that kind of says everything. And plus, with Chevy's manual transmissions, they have that automatic red match downshift, so if you're not the best manual transmission driver, it does a lot of stuff for you, and so it's actually pretty easy to drive. It'd be really easy to daily drive as well. But again, if you're looking for like a hardcore daily driver, I guess regular ZL1 with the 10-speed automatic. But if you want to have more of a fun weekend car, I'd recommend getting the manual transmission. And again, you could daily drive it as well. It's a really easy car to drive with the manual transmission. And I guess just a quick comparison with the GT500 and with the Hellcat. And I mean, we don't have a Hellcat here, but we've got the TRX, which has the Hellcat powertrain. What I would have to say is that ZL1 powertrain feels just as punchy as the Hellcat powertrain, even though it doesn't have as much horsepower. The ZL1 weighs less than the Hellcat, so you kind of have that power to weight thing going on for the ZL1. But what I would have to say is the Hellcat's kind of more like a brutal hammer, whereas the ZL1 a little bit more like a chisel, basically. Like, it's just a little bit more, I guess, refined with the corners and everything. That's kind of what that car is all about. So if you want something that's just like brutal power, go for the Hellcat. If you want something that actually corners well, go for the ZL1. And then on the GT500 side of things, that car sounds amazing. I think that car has the best sounding exhaust out of the three, between, again, the Hellcat and the ZL1. But the one thing I would say about the GT500 is if you don't get the track pack with that car, it's not that it's undrivable, it's just so much power and it just can't put it down, just like the Hellcat. But I don't know, it just has this weird feeling. So if you can get a track pack with the GT500, awesome. But if you can't, I think that the ZL1 is still the best one to go for overall, because one, you can get a manual transmission with it, which you can get in the Hellcat, but you can't get in the GT500. So that's a huge thing for the ZL1, is the fact you can get a manual transmission, but the power is actually still usable. And then on top of that, it feels maybe not as punchy as like the GT500, but it's pretty dang close. And then I feel like it corners a little bit better. Like, it just, the turn and everything feels a little bit nicer. But those are kind of my thoughts. Now let's gonna sum things up for a walk around on that Camaro ZL1. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller, Chevy, and Murray for giving me some time with that ZL1. Check out their inventory and link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.